This episode is supported by Garnica Plywood, engineering the finest plywood for the most demanding clients. Garnica Plywood, challenge the ordinary. And Rockler Woodworking and Hardware, create with confidence. Hey, what's up guys, and thanks for tuning in. This is part 2 of the kitchen pantry build. If you didn't see part 1, I'll have a link in the description. In part 1, I built the cabinets, installed them on the wall, and then built the face frame around the cabinets. In this case, I built the face frames first, and then I built the cabinet around the face frame. You can see I've already built one of the lower cabinets. As I build the second one, I'll go over all the details. We're going to start by building the face frame. I've already cut the parts to the face frame, and I'm going to put the face frame together with pocket hole screws. And this is a custom project, so more than likely the exact measurements aren't going to fit in any project that you're doing, but I will have the plans in case you want to get ideas for the measurements of the stiles and rails and drawers, just as something to go off of. So the first step is to make sure that my drawer openings are all the same. So I've measured out on one of the stiles, and now I'm going to take the second stile, hold it up tight against the stile that I've marked out, and transfer those marks. Make sure that the boards are flush, and it's easier to use a square and then just transfer that line, and you can give one of these as a reminder. Now that I have the face frame put together, I've changed the angle on the table saw to 35 degrees because I'm going to back cut the right side of the face frame. And I'm doing that because I'm going to have to scribe these cabinets into the room. The room measures 64.5 inches wide, so I built the face frames. When you put them both together, they'll equal 65 inches long point to long point, and that gives me a little room to scribe the cabinets into place. Before I attach the sides to the face frame, I'll use a 1/4 inch routing bit in the router to notch out the sides to accept the 1/4 inch plywood that I'm using for the back. When attaching the sides of the cabinet, I'll make sure the inside of the cabinet is flush with the inside of the face frame. The next step is to cut the bottom of the cabinet to size. Resting a framing square on top of the drawer opening, I'll mark a line. I'll use biscuits to join the bottom of the cabinet to the face frame, and the biscuits will also keep the plywood bottom and the face frame nice and flush. Measuring down 3/8 of an inch from the top of the line, I drill holes through the inside of the cabinet, then countersink the holes from the outside. I'm using a clamp to pull the sides together, and that applies pressure to the bottom shelf. I adjusted the bottom shelf so it's at the line where I squared across earlier. Now I'll screw through the side of the cabinet into the bottom shelf. While the glue is drying on the bottom shelf, I'm going to go ahead and put together one of the drawers. I've already cut the parts. I'm going to kind of breeze right through this because I posted a very detailed video on how to build a drawer about 6 months ago, and it's pretty much the same information. If you want to see that video, I'll have a link in the description. The only difference between this drawer and the drawer I built a few months ago is on this drawer I'm using a 1/2 inch bottom, and I'm not using a dado of any kind. Often when I build drawers, I have a dado at the back of the drawer. This drawer I'm just using a simple butt joint in the front and the back. First I'll measure and mark the pre-drill holes for the screws. When I'm building the drawers, I like to tack the parts in place with an 1.25 inch nail. That will keep the parts from moving around. Then I use 1 5/8" trim screws through the pre-drilled holes for a stronger joint. If you're wondering about the construction of this drawer, I've been building drawers like this for more than 20 years and have never had a problem. With the drawer almost finished, I add a little wood glue to the groove in the drawer front, then drop the drawer bottom into place. Then using 1.25 inch nails, I'll tack the bottom of the drawer into the back of the drawer. The last step, and this really strengthens the drawer I think, is to add a bead of hot glue around the bottom of the drawer and along the lip in the back. For the bracing at the back of the cabinet, I'm using a scrap piece of HDF. Solid wood or a good quality plywood will also work. You'll never see this part of the cabinet, but you want it to have structural integrity and you want it to be able to hold a screw because it's holding the cabinet together, and then you're going to attach the cabinet to the wall by screwing through the bracing. This is a piece of Garnica HDF and has a very uniform poplar core and does a great job of holding a screw. After building the cabinet yesterday, I sprayed the inside of the cabinet with 1 coat of water-based polyurethane and the insides and the sides of the drawers with 2 coats of water-based polyurethane, sanding in between coats. Now I'm ready to fit the drawers using drawer slides, and one of the most important measurements you need to remember is you need 1/2 inch on each side of the drawer, so I made the drawers exactly 1 inch smaller than the opening width. Instead of measuring up with my tape, I've cut a stick, and I'll hold the stick at the bottom of the cabinet, mark a line, and then I'll use the same stick on the other side. Next, I'll use my cabinet square and square across. To separate the drawer member from the cabinet member, push the release trigger and pull out. To help out with the installation, I'm using the Universal Drawer Slide Jig by Rockler. I'll put the drawer slide in the jig, pull the clip forward, and that locks the drawer slide in place. Using a self-centering drill bit, I'll drill just a slight hole, only going in about 1/16 of an inch. I'm just making sure that I'm still on my square line. Not drilling in very far, just about 1/16 of an inch. Now I'm attaching the slide to the drawer side, and you can see I've got 2 pieces of 1/2 inch plywood on the ground, And that's so I can lay the drawer flat on the ground without it hitting the floor. Next, I'll find the center of the drawer and mark a line in the front and in the back and connect the lines with a straight edge. Then again, I'll use the jig, bottom the drawer, slide out, pull down the clip, the locking clip, and then place it on the drawer. I'm using the self-centering drill bit. I'm just drilling down a little bit. Okay, well that's as far as I'm going to get this week. Next week I will be installing the cabinet, and then I'll be building a Sapele countertop for the cabinet. So there's a lot of cool projects associated with this cabinet, and I'll have links in the description to all those projects as they get finished. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. To see the projects I'm working on today, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. For shop news and project updates, subscribe to my second channel, John Peters Shop Talk.